where does illness come from? And a lot of the reason why I'm calling this today is because I'm recognizing more and more, now that I've been healing for quite a while, that most illness comes from our emotional dysfunctional backgrounds. Most of it. It's stuff that we held in from our family, and somehow we've insulated or created patterns that aren't working for us. A lot of you recognize that, I hope. Anybody who's had our seminar has learned this to be true. And a lot of these illnesses, we get to see the illness is actually the symptom of the bigger illness. And that is our emotional damage, or things we haven't dealt with. So those are things I hope to discuss today that we should be dealing with. It's time to, and I use various methods. So it occurred to me that for healing to occur, we have to start by looking at, I guess, a rudimentary way of getting a platform for people to heal their emotional damage or their patterns from the past. Is everybody on that page with me that you understand? Are you on this page? I always invite good concepts and interesting new ones, but you're going to have to explain that for the average layman who doesn't understand what go against your spirit
when
means.
we're not being true to ourselves, when we're putting on masks, and we're not being our true authentic selves, that's going against your spirit.
Now, I would agree with that. Here's the problem with that. How do you tell a young Native child who's been sexually abused and watched his parents drink, let's say, that he's going against his spirit? How do you tell a young black child growing up poor, without eating, growing up with rats, watching his father beat his mother, that he's going against his spirits? You see what I'm saying?
You help them with self-care to reach the spirit.
Exactly. So,
with energy work.
So you segued my seminars. Aren't you brilliant?
I haven't finished any of your seminars.
Well, you did. You must be psychic. She's done it for me. Here's Erin.
The Seminar 1 is now a 4-week workshop where we look at recreating the life patterns. So what we do is we simplify all of our behaviors and all of our everything down to really, really simple modes of behavior. We look at control, we look at pride, and we look at ego. And what you were just saying about the putting on the masks and not being our true self, we have that in ego, right? When people are lying and they're not being honest, whether it's directly or totally inadvertently, it puts them into pride. And when you're trying to play God rather than acknowledge a higher power, you're in dark control. So what it does in simplifying it down to just control, pride, and ego is it eliminates the thinking. We teach people to learn to recognize when they're in a dark control, pride, or ego, and be able to identify and move it into a light control, pride, or ego. We're adults and still running some of the patterns that we thought were acceptable when we were 5, and they're not working. So we look at the family traits and behaviors. We look at the patterns, but we do that in week 1. So we get them all out, we get them on paper, we look at them, we acknowledge them, we bring them into conscious awareness, and now we move forward. This is what you want to let go of. Here's how to do it. So we look at denials and how we fool ourselves into repeating our own patterns, and the stories we tell ourselves to rationalize our right to repeat patterns that make us miserable. And then look at how to transmute those more in line with your spirit, in line with your heart, and how to let them go. How do you be forgiving and patient at that moment, in the middle of the struggle, and in the middle of the stuff that really triggers all of your personal emotional stuff? How do you get through that? So that's what we focus on. And that's what we cover in the Recreating Life Patterns and Removing Futile Blocks.